If you want to create your first application that communicates with an LLM using LangChain, in this video, I will show you how. Keep watching. Hi there. I'm Manuel Gutierrez from thelighthouse.co, and I make videos that help you learn about different programming topics like AM, Docker, TensorFlow, Unity, and more. So if you're new here, hit the subscribe and the bell notification buttons below so you don't miss a thing. Let's start. In this series of videos, I will show you how to create a simple application that communicates with an LLM by using LangChain. In the first video, this video, I will show you how to install the dependencies, create the application, and just communicate with OpenAI's ChatGPT and extract information out of a string. In the second video, I'll show you how to transform it so that you can add a schema, and instead of getting a string as a response, you get a JSON, which can also be used for exposing an API that another application can use. In the third video, I will show you how to add a more complex schema so that you can add things like arrays and objects for the LLM to use when getting an answer. And on the fourth video, I will show you how to use a local LLM so that you can also use open source LLMs before you deploy and use another one served by AWS Bedrock or Grok. So let's create the sample application for our LLM app. Right-click on the Explorer pane, open an integrated terminal, and let's use our pnpm create vid command to create the application. Let's define a project name. Let's use React and JavaScript in this case. Awesome. We now have a project. Let's open the project. Let's create a components folder. And inside it, let's create our address information extractor component. So let's start by importing React and use state. Let's create our component and define first the text where we're going to put the country, state, and zip code that we want to extract. And this is just a default value. The idea is to define a text field so that we can just change that on the UI. And then we have the response with the address information that we just extracted. Now we have the function that we're using for extracting the information and setting whatever was extracted. This is the one that we'll be calling the LLM. And finally, we will return an HTML with the address information with a text area for entering the country, zip code, and state that we want to extract, and a button to trigger the extraction. Then we will just show whatever the LLM just answered. This is going to be stored inside the address info.questions. Let's save the file and let's go to the app.jsx file. Let's remove everything else. Let's import our component. And let's use it as part of the HTML. Let's start the application. So for this, first we need to install all of the dependencies. Now we have a node_modules folder. And now let's run the application. Awesome. We now have a really simple application. Okay, so let's now create our code to call our LLM. So on the components folder, let's create a file named LLM.js so that we can add our code to call our LLM. The first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to import from LangChain, OpenAI, LLM-Chain, and prompt template. Now, for this to work, we need to also install the packages. So let's duplicate our current terminal or open a new one and then type pnpm at LangChain/OpenAI and at LangChain/core. Once that's done, you should be able to use LangChain. Let's create our model by instantiating an OpenAI model, configuring that we are going to use GPT 3.5 Turbo and an app API key. Now, for the API key, we actually need to go to OpenAI and get it. Go to openai.com, click on login. And by the way, if you don't have an account, just sign up with a Google, Microsoft, or even an email to create one. It's really easy. Then click on API, click on the left, API keys, and then create new secret key. Now here we're going to say LLM test, secret key, and just copy it. Go to Visual Studio Code and replace the key on the file. So given that we are going to be writing an application to be able to extract the country, state, and zip code from the text entered by the user, we're going to create a prompt template from LangChain that expects a text as an input variable. The important parts here are that, as I said, we have a template with the text that we want. So in this case, the prompt is going to be extract from the following text, the country, state, and zip code. And then you can see here using curly braces that we need a variable called text. So below, we provide as the input variables an array saying, hey, we have a property called text, so that LangChain knows that it needs to replace that particular section with whatever we supply as the text value. So let's create a simple chain where we will define the model, the prompt template that we will use, where to look for the answers from the model, and an important one, verbose. That one, you would typically not use it in production, but it's really useful to see what's happening behind the scenes when LangChain is working. Finally, let's export the execute prompt function, which receives prompt keys. And this one is important because this is the one that will have the text. So if you look above, we defined that the input variables for the prompt were going to be text. So in this case, prompt keys should have prompt keys that text, which will be used by LangChain to replace the text portion of the prompt. Let's save the file. Let's go back to our component and import the function we just created. Finally, we just need to use the new function. So on the address info, use the function and pass the text as the parameters. Let's store the response. Now remember, we are storing inside questions the response from the LLM. So if we actually want to show that, we put address info that questions so that we actually are able to show what the LLM is answering. Let's go to the browser, open the DevTools so that we can see what is happening. Remember that we used verbose on the LangChain configuration, so we should be able to see what's happening underneath. Let's click on extract and see what happens. So right now I'm getting a 429. You exceeded your current quota. So before you continue, remember that you need to add some credits to your account so that any requests that you send to OpenAI actually works. So once you add some credits, just wait for around 10 minutes, or at least that's what the internet says, and then try again. I'll be waiting for a while before trying again. Let's try again and see what happens. So after you try again, you will see that this time it actually works. So let's see what is happening behind the scenes. So if we look at the code and the response side by side, we can see that, first of all, we see that LangChain has now an object with a text that has the text that we just sent through the UI. Now it's sending to the LLM the complete prompt with the text already replaced. So it's saying, extract from the following text the country, state, and so on and so forth. And text right now contains the text that is on the UI. There is a place in USA, so on and so forth. Now the LLM is able to extract from this text, which is the country, which is USA, which is a state, which is New York, and then the zip code. This is awesome because right now we have on the question subject on the response the string with what we wanted to show. So now to show the text, I just forgot one thing, and is that we needed to wait for the response from the LLM. So if we click on extract again, then we should see the text showing below. In the next video, I will show you how to structure the response using a simple schema. Congratulations and thanks for watching. You can find a link to the post in the description below. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel.